Yesterday, something a bit strange happened. Wycombe Wanderers lined out to play in Joe Jacobson's testimonial versus Cardiff City, and four lone players were included in the starting 11. Breckin, Freddie Potts, Boys, and Dale Taylor all lined out to start against a championship club. And a year ago, under Gareth Ainsworth, this would have been unimaginable. So, what's happened at Wycombe Wanderers, and why have we so quickly turned from a club that seemed to dislike loans to one that is now even paying for loan players, as reported by a West Ham fan account with links to the club that we did pay a small fee for Freddie Potts to come on loan to us? So it might be good to first look at the sort of loans that Gareth Ainsworth, our previous manager, liked to bring in. So a lot of the loans we brought in were from QPR. So we had the most obvious example as Eberechi Eze coming on loan for half of the season, but he is by far the exception, not the norm of how loans did at Wycombe. We often brought in experienced players on loan who we then signed permanently. For example, David Stockdale came in on loan from Brighton. I believe that Jason McCarthy came in on loan from Southampton. He came in on loan from Millwall. Dominic Gate come on loan from Southampton, and we all then signed these guys permanently on deals, which is a sensible way to do it, to try players out before committing to signing them with the full resources. But we never were the type of club that brought in young, exciting players. Now, this did happen occasionally. Ken Campbell, for example, that was more a needs must. We needed a winger. He needed a club. Fair enough. As I mentioned, every essay. But we didn't tend to go into that market. And it's a market that many other clubs in the EFL and in League One in particular did very, very well in. We've seen clubs like Portsmouth and Bolton and Sunderland all using the loan market to a much higher level than we ever did, bringing in these very young players with oodles of potential and talent, and it helping them even if just for a season. Gareth, for good or bad, did seem to distrust these sort of players, and I understand why from his reasoning. He wanted committed players who were going to give 100%. And how necessarily do you guarantee that when they're only going to come in for a year on loan? So it was frustrating at times. And it was something that I got frustrated at, seeing other clubs sign these amazing young players from Man City, from Tottenham, from Liverpool, and we were not really doing that whatsoever. In fact, many of the loans we brought in ended quite poorly. But there has seemed to be a bit of a transition now that we have brought in four very young and very exciting players. Two of them getting their first ever senior loan at the club. Breckin and Freddie Potts both not having a loan move before. This is a complete divergence from what we're used to. And that may be due to Bloomfield. He has been very active in watching underage squads. He was saw at a number of Manchester City Elite Development Squad matches. He's also been to West Ham matches, as far as I'm aware. So he's made a conscious effort in order to sign these players. They also will fit the style he's looking to bring. At yesterday's game, we saw a lot of short passing, building out from the back, mostly through the use of Richard Keogh as that centre back in the midfield or in the centre three. We saw a lot of overlapping runs, a lot of great passing, a lot of intricate passing at times. Players like Jack Grimmer and Brandon Hanlon were making passes that under Ainsworth I would have never imagined they would have been able to do. And perhaps Gareth Ainsworth, for all of his greatness, was one of the reasons why we can never get these players in. Because let's be real, if you're sitting as the loan manager of a big Premier League club and you have an offer from Wycombe, who's going to play them, or an offer from another club in League One who plays more attractive football closer to what they're going to play in the Premier League, who are you going to choose? You're going to choose the club that offers a style more similarly to yours. And Matt Bloomfield, for better or worse, is going to be playing with style, a tactical formation that big Premier League clubs can look at and go, okay, this makes sense, they can adapt to that, it's very similar to ours. The type of players we're bringing in, Kean Breckin and Potts, two cultured midfielders, you'd call them, very good at dribbling, very good at passing. Harry Boys is a quintessential modern full-back, getting very high up the pitch, getting involved in attacking sequences, making some great crosses. And Dale Taylor is the type of centre-forward that to be honest with you, he could have been going to a low championship move. But we've been able to sign him, and I do believe that is because of Bloomfield's new style, the way he wants to play. We simply wouldn't have got these players, even if I think we went in for them, under Ainsworth. Of course, there was the financial implications, which does detract from my arguments. Under Ainsworth, for a long period of time, we simply did not have money. So you can argue, well, we couldn't get the best loans because the best loans, they want loan fees. I understand that. But especially the past 2 seasons, where the money was there, where Ainsworth and Cohig himself said, look, there's money here to spend. And Ainsworth himself came out and said, look, there was money in the pot for me to spend, but I didn't want to spend it. Which makes it a bit harder to then justify not bringing in loans, especially last year, where our squad depth at the start of the season was shot to pieces, let's be real. We didn't bring in any loans. We could have brought in even 2 or 3 players just to alleviate the situation, and if we did, we probably would have finished higher. So it's a very interesting transition for the club, and it's perhaps strange for us because we're not really used to 4 or 5 or 3 lone players coming in every season. But we're not also used to perhaps the quality they can bring. Not every one of these lone players will start every match. I believe Dale Taylor may. Harry Boys, I believe, will be our left wing back option. Potts and Breckin, I'm unsure whether they'll play every match, especially with Luke Leahy and Josh Gowen, and Josh Gowen looking fit yesterday. But they give us a very, very good option in centre mid, centre attacking mid. So it's just a very interesting thing to look at, that sort of transition that we are undergoing right now, and it's a really exciting one. I would much rather be a club that brings in great young players and offers them the chance to develop and have really create the reputation as a club that's capable of doing that. Think about the players we can bring in next season and the season after. If Potts and Breckin and Boys and Dale all have fantastic loan spells, we can go next season and go, well, these players had a great year on loan, so why not send us your players so they can develop the same way and we can create something really successful here. It was frustrating because actually in the championship season, we did use loans to some effect. Admiral Musgrave was, I think, good. Josh Knight at centre-back was a good loan pickup. But then when we went back to League One, we just sort of abandoned that, which was frustrating to say the least. I think a lot of us are really excited about these loans, and I think they've really contributed to that. It's an amazing transfer window we've had. And I can't see this transfer window, even with our modern financial status, bit more secure and able to offer fees and loans, pay 100k for Luke Leahy, pay a small fee. I don't see Gareth Ainsworth doing this. If you look at QPR right now, they could be using the loan market very effectively, but he's not. And they've got more money than us at the end of the day. So, for better or worse, I think we've modernised, we've adapted and said, okay, Ainsworth, thank you very much for everything you've done, but we're going to try something different now, and I'm really excited to see where we go with it. I hope you all have a brilliant day. Let me know what you think of the loan signings and making those loan signings in general. But otherwise, have a great day, Wanderers.